Lucky though, I mean, don't piss off IT guys. They're lucky all he got was Burt Reynolds on his desk and not his entire like search history email to the company or something.
I know. It was evidently a good-natured thing, but yeah, those guys don't mess around. You do not want to screw with those guys. I found something shocking, which is hard to do, but apparently adults who trim their pubic hair are, according to this source, 80% more likely to have an STD, new research suggests. Now, do you have an assumption as to why you think that is?
Trim? No.
It's not the sanitary thing, which is what first came to mind. It's because they don't have the hair keeping the germs from going places.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
But it's not. According to researchers from the University of California, San Francisco, they said that these sexually active adults are more likely to keep themselves trimmed, and they have four times more chance. The chances are 4 times more likely that they are going to have an STD than somebody who just is bohemian and rogue.
Are they saying they're more promiscuous?
Yes,
is there the correlation there?
That's the correlation.
If you trim your pubic hair, it's up because you are having sex,
and because you're and you are more likely to have an STD. Isn't that weird?
That is strange.
And what percentage of men do you think trim pubes?
Oh, probably not enough.
Just shoot me a guess, because this number surprised me.
Oh, well, 35%.
66.
Whoa.
Compared to 84% of women.
That is surprising.
Isn't that funny? So, yeah, and they said extreme groomers, by the way. Extreme groomers. That's funny. Those are people that remove all their pubic hair more than 11 times a year.
I wonder if those 66% of guys, minus maybe the percentage who might be gay, speaking on the straight side, how many of that percentage that came after a conversation with a partner? Because I've never met someone, like, it doesn't start trimmed. It ends up that way when you're like, I am done with mouths full of hair.
Yeah.
Get you've got you got trimmers. Do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wonder if that's all after they've had to have a conversation first.
It's a very good question. I unclear, but yeah. So be suspicious of the manscaped and the well trimmed. Apparently, according to this. I think this is funny. It's kind of an interesting story. I don't think this would happen here in the United States. I don't think it's at all possible. But apparently, nudists, aka naturists, in the UK, they have been using a municipal pool in this one particular district for years. Like they have a lease and they're able to go during a certain period of time, and the nudists use it. I cannot see any municipality in the U.S. getting over itself enough to allow this, even if it was close. Can you?
No. I mean, didn't we had people getting like kicked out of hotels and stuff? I think we've had stories about that before. I think it was maybe more swingers than just nudists, but yeah, that actually was really surprising that they would have had permission.
Yeah. And there's one pool that was booked for their annual biggest event. So they've gone and been able to find, other places to allow them. But it made the news over there. And because a lot of people didn't realize that this was possible. And so they featured some of these people. And it was kind of funny because they actually seem like really nice people. And they're just talking about, hey, it's just awareness, it's acceptance, it's this, that, and the other thing. They do sound like the kind of people you'd want to hang out with. And for me, I was thinking about the natural opposition that would occur here in the States or really anywhere about this. And I'm thinking, what's the big difference between naked and a bathing suit? Not a lot.
When you're in a pool, nothing really.
Because, I
mean, if you think that tiny piece of fabric is somehow...
anything.
It's the chemicals that are keeping you safe in a pool. It is not thin pieces of fabric between the water and your naughty bits.
Exactly. And my fear is not people being in there naked. It's people peeing.
Right. I mean, that's the big thing. It's like, who cares if they're naked? They're all pissing in there. That's the problem.
Thank you for saying it out loud. I absolutely cannot wait for you to post this picture on the website. Okay. So kids say and do the darndest things, right? Mm-hmm. So this guy sees this picture of his girlfriend's niece wearing her new bracelet, and it happens to be the cock ring that he left on her bedside table.
Oh, no.
And it's this little girl, and she's all smiling, and she's holding it up, and it's a cock ring around her wrist.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. So
the problem is that should be just hilarious, but it's a little upsetting only in that if he left it out, you have to assume it wasn't washed.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's what I'm thinking.
Don't want
No.
junk germs on your arms.
On your little...
Although that's really funny because I say we sell all kinds of cock rings, and the number one question is like, do these stretch? And I'm like, unless it's one of the metal ones, I can pretty much wear every single one of these cock rings as a bracelet.
Oh God! So you've used this metaphor.
So that's actually my shtick for selling them.
Funny. That's funny. So this is kind of cool. Awareness for testicular cancer, since we're in that region right now. Mm. They've got this hysterical campaign over there. In Auckland is where it started. Is people are using GPS trackers. They're taking journeys to create penises with their GPS patterns, and they're getting them published. And so it's really funny. The pictures are out there. This one guy, his name is Vaughn Davis. He's a pilot, and he says he took his support for the Balls Out campaign. He flew in a manhood-shaped 50-kilometer outline over Auckland, and he goes, I spent about 30 minutes on top of my usual pre-flight trying to identify a penis-shaped route. So that's kind of fun.
That's always impressive. I've seen one where they, where it draws the line, like this, and it tracks where you run, and someone's like asked someone else they'll run out, like, will you marry me and stuff. And I'm
really?
Yeah, it's really sweet. But I'm like, God, the thought involved.
I'd be
like sitting with your Google map. Okay, if I turn right here and left there, and then I've got the balls, and
that just feels like math to me.
Yeah,
like really,
yeah.
I don't know.
Running's enough work, not to add all that mental work in there too.
For sure. Check it out though. We'll have a picture on the Facebook page. So Megan, it's now illegal in Ohio for people to engage in sexual conduct or related acts with animals. Woohoo.
It's legal?
It's now illegal.
Oh, okay.
Just now.
Great. Yeah.
Until last week, they did not have anti-bestiality laws.
I feel like, which is maybe actually says something really good about Ohio.
They didn't think they needed them?
Right. Because in theory, like, there's some kind of crazy law in Minnesota books about, like, you can't have sex, like, put your dick in a fish's mouth or something weird with fish. And it's like, that law was created
because it happened.
Because someone did it. So apparently Ohio has gone this whole time with no bestiality, so I guess props for them.
Okay, yeah. Go Ohio. Woohoo.
Go Buckeyes.
Yeah. Something about that sounded very wrong.
Yep. I know.
So they rolled this into a bill that bars local jurisdictions from raising the minimum wage or regulating pet stores. And so they threw this in there. And apparently, most states do have laws prohibiting sexual conduct with animals, but 8 states don't, and then Washington, D.C. And so one of their state representatives who co-sponsored the bill said, well, we just don't want Ohio to be the place you can come and have sex with an animal. Right. You probably don't want that in the tourism guide.
Well, it's like everyone's flocking to Colorado for the legal weed, right? They're all, oh crap, we got to go to Ohio, go fuck some sheep. Although that sounds shady when you read that, because I'm like, oh God, I hope it was one of those where they're like, let's make a bill to make it illegal to have sex with animals because everyone's going to vote for that. But we'll sneak in underneath the bill something about, oh, by the way, we also are voting to not ever raise minimum wage.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That stuff is shady.
I know, it is. Regarding porn, apparently they are the big time debate over whether or not watching porn is good or bad for a relationship rages on. And there's new research out of Indiana University and University of Hawaii. And they're saying it was a study of more than 50,000 participants who had taken part in 50 previous porn studies. Good God, do they have jobs? Like seriously. They found men who watch porn in an intimate relationship are more likely to be less satisfied with their sex life and their partner. And they said that they analyzed sexual and overall relationship satisfaction and self-esteem. And they have a big study published. You can read it and see what you think. But, they're saying that, once again, it's the unrealistic presentation, which is so funny because if you talk to people in that industry, like actors, like Jessica Drake, I had a conversation with her about this one time. And she says, yeah, that's one thing she doesn't like is that, they don't show the prep.
Mm-hmm.
And that bothers her a little bit.
Yep.
Yep.
Because you do have which it's kind of, and I don't know if it's because the industry is treated differently, like you don't go to the newest Transformer movie and you're like, gee, I think that's how the world works, so it's not treated as part of like the movie industry. It's so separate. So because it's separate, it seems less of, you're not relating that there is that fantasy and manufactured element behind it.
That was a very, very prescient thought that you put out there. I am like, it's so true. We don't take other movies. Well, most of us don't anyway.
Right.
Wow, that's really interesting, Megan. Well, and I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm going to sit here and say that most people, probably to the extent that they use it, won't get that desensitized. But I mean, if you're talking to people who had been in 50 porn studies, right. My God, I mean, I'd be over it too.
I think it skews the number. I'm like, at this point, they're so jaded on porn because of all of the other porn studies.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's the only way they watch porn is in these studies.
And how is that fun?
It's really tainting their market.
Well, and think about this. If there's always somebody, sneering around you with a lab coat, you could lose enthusiasm for a whole bunch of shit, right?
Why don't you have an erection? What does that mean? I don't know. Maybe you're standing there with a clipboard staring at me.
I have performance anxiety. Oh my God. Okay. So this is just funny. I just want you to post this one, Meg. It's 6 ridiculous myths about women and sex, and they are ridiculous. So let's just chomp down on these real quick. The first one is women are not imaginative, and it's like, who thinks that? Like,
that's pretty bad. I'm going to have go out on a limb right now and say all of these ridiculous myths might be rooted in some very old-fashioned sexism.
I'm thinking so too. Women dry down there means they're not turned on.
Yeah, that's guys. It's not true. Don't worry.
Don't freak. Don't freak. Women never self-satisfy.
I don't think I would be here.
Right.
Fantasy Gifts would not be around to be sponsoring this podcast if that was the case.
Thank goodness for self-satisfaction. Women should not have casual sex, or rather they can't.
Oh, God, yeah.
Is this hysterical or what?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so funny. I almost forgot to laugh. Orgasms don't matter to women. Who the hell came up with that one?
Oh, wow. Yeah, these are pretty baffling in their stupidity.
The fact that you can get anything published these days just cracks me up. Women don't initiate sex. Yeah, not so much.
Nope.
Not so much. So a couple things that I wanted to hit today before we this one is kind of interesting. Lying about sexual history. So this used to be a bigger deal, I think, than it is today, like so many other things. But there is a new article out about this, and they're saying, surprise, surprise, males overestimate the number of partners and females underestimate. And I just want your blanket thoughts on this before I give you any more information. Bullshit? Do we all do it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, so when they're speaking to the other person, because if you're under or overestimating in your head, then maybe all around the numbers got to be pretty high that you can't actually keep track
or deal with it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's basically they're talking about saying it out loud to potential partners. They say that there's more honesty among friends, like girlfriends and friend to friend type of thing, or platonic friends. They'll tell the truth, but in the actual relationships, which is really sad.
Well, and I don't think it's ever good to ask, because there's no, what are you